welcome. Have a seat in your chair. Make sure you're sitting about mid-chair and your feet are able to rest on the floor. And for today's class, if you happen to have a brick, a yoga brick, please grab that. If you don't have a yoga brick, you can always use a book. A nice hard-covered book would work as well. And of course, if you don't have anything like that handy, that's okay. I'll give you some options without using any props. But if you do have a brick, that's very helpful. We won't use it right away, but we will use it for practice today. Great. So coming to sit in your chair, rest your hands in your lap. Take a moment, maybe you wiggle around a little bit, get settled, get centered. Sit up a little bit taller than maybe you already are. Bring a little attention, a little energy to your seat. And then gazing straight ahead. So kind of depending on where your computer screen is at, that might not be at your computer screen, and that's okay. Looking straight ahead. Notice where your eyes are falling. Notice what they're falling on. Maybe it's a picture on your wall or a plant or a book or a screen of some sort, or maybe just the wall. But notice that. Be conscious now of what your eyes are looking at. And start to soften your gaze a little bit. So you're taking in a little bit less detail of what's in front of you. And maybe if it's comfortable for you, you might close your eyes. Continuing to soften the gaze as the eyes close. Starting to draw your eyes back a little bit into the head. And starting to turn your attention away from the eyes now towards your breathing. Maybe coming to feel the breath moving in and out of your nose. Maybe coming to feel the gentle rise and fall of your chest. Or however you've come to feel your breath. And begin to connect now to the sensation and feeling of breathing. Placing your hands now on your belly, one hand over the other, just softly resting the hand on the belly. And starting to tune into the very subtle feeling of the belly moving as you breathe. So first softening the belly, maybe letting the breath descend a little bit more in the body. And tuning into that feeling, that sensation of the belly moving as you breathe. Starting now to gently increase the length of your inhale and exhale, just a little bit each time, to maybe accentuate this motion of the belly. Unhooking the mind now from all of the activities you may have already done this morning, or the plans you might have for your day ahead. And starting to orient towards the sensation of breathing and the movement of your belly. Keeping one hand now on the belly. If it's comfortable for you, you might bring the other hand around to the low back. If that's not available to you for whatever reason, it's fine. Simply keep your hands on your belly and imagine you had another hand that could reach around to the back. So you're a little bit more aware of your low back here as you breathe. And just as you feel the belly expand and soften as you inhale and exhale, start to feel a little expansion and softening in your low back. So these are pretty deep breaths we're taking now. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose the best you can, and feeling the motion of the belly and the back as you breathe. Keeping that hand on the belly. If you have a hand wrapped around behind you, bring it up now to the center of your chest. If you have the hand resting on the belly, bring one hand on the chest, keeping one hand on the belly. And starting to feel the rise and fall of the chest as you breathe. Keeping that breath full. So there's a feeling of the body going forward and back as you breathe. This is happening probably down in the lower part of the torso. And then there's a feeling of the body going up and down as you breathe. That's happening often up in the chest. And then somewhere in between that, there's also a feeling of the breath and the body going side to side. And see if you can kind of tap into that feeling, wherever that is for you. Expanding and contracting from the sides. We're tuning in here to the 360-degree experience of breathing. Good. Let's start to add a little motion now to the breath. So as you exhale, as everything empties out, gently contract the belly. So the hands that are on the one on the belly, one on the chest come a little closer together just by rounding the spine. Then as you inhale, lengthen that space between the hands. Lift the chest up, lift the chin up. Breathing out to curl down and in. Compressing the front of the body. Breathing in to stretch and lift up. Good. Exhale, curling down and in. Inhale, lifting up. Good. Exhale, curling down and in. Inhale, stretching. Let's do a few more like this. Moving smoothly, gracefully with your breath. One more like this. Coming back to sit up tall, keeping a little bit more extra space between the hands here. Good. And then take that hand that's on the belly and bring it up towards the chest. So one hand resting on top of the other, letting the elbows hang down, the shoulders be heavy. But continuing to feel that full 360-degree experience of breathing. Good. On your next inhale, as you fill up, let the hands float away from the chest, coming forward, just to the extent of your inhale breath. And then as you exhale, gently bring the hands back towards the chest. So the arms are moving here in sync with your breathing. And they're moving only to the degree of your breath. So if the breath is feeling a little short, then the hands might not come so far away. And that's okay. But your hands slide forward away from the chest as you inhale, and then as you exhale, they glide back. Beautiful. One more like this. This time, as you inhale from the chest, the arms will slide out to the side. Then exhale, bring them back over the chest. Again, only moving to the extent of your breathing. So inhale out just as far as that inhale allows, then exhale, gliding back to the chest. Good. Very nice. Let's do just a couple more like this. finding a smoothness, a gracefulness between the motion of your body and your breath. So this time as you inhale, let the arms go out to the side, keep the breath moving and let the arms rest wide. Turn the arms so the palms now are facing down, and you can bend your elbows as you need because having the arms extended can be a little tiring for the shoulders. So just bend the elbows as you need. And we'll start here first by pointing and flexing the wrists from the hands here. So the hands, the fingers turn up and then down to the floor, keeping the arms pretty still, just moving in your wrists. Continuing to sit up nice and tall. Good. Then bring your fingertips in towards your thumbs and start to circle at the wrists here. Being attentive that you're not circling your elbows, just the wrists are circling as best you can. Let's try circling the other way. Then let's bring those fingertips in towards the shoulders. So you might touch your shoulders with your hands, you might not. Don't worry about touching, but just bringing the fingers in bends the elbows. And then we'll glide the elbows towards the front, maybe touching the elbows in front, maybe not. Then inhale again, take them wide. Exhale as the elbows come around in front. Inhale as they go wide. A few more times like this. Exhale in front. Inhale wide. One more like this. Good. And keeping the arms as they are, start to draw tiny little circles with your elbows out to the sides. Tiny, tiny little circles. These little circles are sometimes more challenging than big circles because we're using kind of different muscles. These little circles, whew, they can be a bit fatiguing. So take a break if you need. Good, but let's try circling the other way now. Shoulders stay down and away from the ears as we're warming up the joints of the shoulders. Beautiful. Rest those elbows now, expand the arms back out, and then let that left arm come to your side. Take your right ear towards your right shoulder and wrap that right arm up overhead, maybe. If wrapping overhead is not a good option for you, then simply let that right arm rest at your side. Yep, good. Right ear coming down towards the right shoulder, little stretch along the neck. Again, be mindful of your spine and neck. Maybe for you, it's best to keep the head upright and work to sit a little bit taller. Breathing long, full breath, still feeling that 360-degree motion with the breath. Good. Let's release that right arm down. Take the arms back out to the sides, head into center. Then we'll release the right arm to the side, tilt the head to the left, and maybe wrap that left arm overhead or let that left arm come down. Soften as best you can through your shoulders here. Stay lifted through the chest. Beautiful. Let's take that left arm down now to the side. Bring the head back up into center and give the shoulders a few easy rolls here. So nothing too prescriptive, just kind of exploring now what it feels like to move through those shoulders. Good. Then you might start to move the head and neck around a little bit. Maybe you circle the head. Maybe you stay with some side to side turning and just explore some motion through the head and the neck. See how that feels. Good. Bringing the head now back into center. Let's take hands onto the hips here and we'll move down a little bit into the legs. So starting first with the right leg, we're going to extend that right leg forward. bringing the heel on the floor and just starting to point and flex the right foot a few times. Then rotating the right ankle by circling that right foot around. Good. Then flexing that right foot. Actually, let's circle the other way. Make sure we circle in both directions. And after a few circles there in that direction, flex the right foot towards your face just as best you can. If you need to have your right knee bent too a little bit, that's fine. Just straightening the leg to where it feels okay for you, but really feeling that heel on the floor and pressing out through the heel. Sitting up as tall as you can, we're going to start to hinge here from the hips. So before you fold, notice your spine. Notice if there's a bit of hunching going on. Work first to sit upright, to lengthen that space again in the front. Then keep as much length as you can, starting to fold forward. Maybe bringing your hands onto your left thigh. If you come lower, maybe you bring your left elbow on your left thigh and your right hand can rub up and down your right leg, gently warming up that right leg. Some of you might reach the right hand out towards the toes. Wherever you are now, we're going to hold for a moment and breathe through the sensation. Good job. Take your time to ease yourself back up to seated. Bring that right foot in. Extend the left leg out, sitting tall, hands on the hips, pointing and flexing the left foot. Good. Rotating that left ankle now, starting to circle the left foot just as much as you can. So your circles might be really big, they might be little tiny circles. That's fine. Motion is motion here. Good. Let's try circling the other way. Or as I have a good friend who says, motion is lotion. Good. Let's flex the left foot back now towards the face. Again, heel on the floor, extending out through the heel, sitting up tall. So sometimes when we're sitting for a while, there's a habit in the body of the head dropping forward or the chest collapsing. So we want to continually check back in. Are we sinking back into that habit? Can we lift the chest up a little bit, take the gaze even a little higher, and then start to fold forward with a long spine? Hands might come onto that right thigh. Maybe the elbow comes down, sliding that left hand up and down the left leg, warming it up. And maybe bringing your left hand onto your left toes if that's available. Maybe keeping the hand wherever it feels comfortable for you. Pausing where you are now and breathing through the sensations you're feeling. Holding still and feeling. Good. All right, take your time now, slowly making your way back up. Let's walk the feet wider apart now, turning the toes out slightly from the heels. So the knees are pointing out a little wider, pointing out about the same angle as the toes. So the toes are a little wider than the heels and the knees are pointing out in that same direction. Good. From here, we're going to take the left elbow now or the left hand, whatever feels best for your spine. Sometimes the elbow's a bit deep as you bring it down onto the thigh. So left hand or left elbow on the left thigh, right hand on the right hip, and gently start to press that right hip down. Good. Keep the right hand on the right hip and circle that right shoulder a few times. Then ease back up through center and take the right elbow or right hand onto the right thigh, left hand on the left hip, drawing that left hip down towards the chair, taking that left shoulder back and rotating that left shoulder a few times. So we're introducing a gentle twist to the spine here. We're going to go a little bit deeper in twists today, but we want to warm that spine up first. Good. Let's come back into center And then bringing hands onto the thighs. Maybe your hands come to your knees, folding forward. Maybe your elbows come onto your thighs, folding a little bit deeper. Even if you are able to bring your hands to the floor today, I'm going to encourage you to only come to where your elbows are on your thighs and work more through a straight spine. So not worried so much about how deep you go, but instead really focusing on space and length in the vertebrae of the spine. Now, starting to press into your feet. Let's wake up some strength in the legs. Good. Keep pressing into the feet and feel a little tone of a lower belly muscle here. Some of you might keep your elbows or hands on your thighs, especially if there's any concern for the back or spine. Some of you now might take your arms up by your ears, extending the arms forward. Breathe here wherever you are. Doesn't matter whether your arms are extended or hands are on the legs. Keep the breath moving. For a third option, if the knees, hips, and low back are feeling okay today, you might slide yourself forward slightly, lifting weight off the chair, hovering your hips now away from the chair, staying low and breathing. Good. Full breaths. Full body breaths, full 360-degree breathing. You've got this. On your next breath, let's straighten up. Let's extend up. Coming to stand or sit tall. Reach up, look up, and then exhale, let those arms go. Woo. Good. Inhale, arms forward and up. Exhale, let them drop. Woo. Inhale, forward and up. Exhale, let them go. Woo. One more like that. Woo. Good. Shake the arms out, give the hips a little shake, and walk the feet in now so they're more you're shaking your hips if you're standing. If you're sitting, it's a bit more shoulder action. You might even shake the legs a little bit. And then we're going to bring the feet so they're directly below your hips or in line with your hips if you're sitting. Palms now open at your sides, shoulders back. Full body breaths here in our Tadasana, sitting or standing as tall as you can. Pressing into the feet, rooting into the earth, feeling space find its way into your body. Good. Now, if you have a brick, grab a hold of your brick. If you don't have a brick, maybe grab a book, a good hard-covered book, not too heavy. And if you don't have any of that, that's fine. You're just going to use your hands instead. Good. So standing or sitting, it works just the same. Make sure though, again, your feet are flat on the floor, about hip distance apart. Those who are standing, if you're feeling a little wobbly, you might want to take your feet a little wider apart. Good. We're going to take the brick now, or the prop, and bring it between your hands. So you have one hand on each side. Good. If you're not using a prop, your palms come together. Good. Now, we're going to lift the elbows up level with the shoulders. And that sometimes is plenty of work. So if the elbows kind of want to sit down here, try to draw them up so they're level with the shoulders. This is requiring a fair bit of flexibility in the wrists and in the shoulders. So be attentive to where the work is for you today. Then from there, start to press into the prop or into your hands. So press, 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 nice and strong. And breathe as you continue to press. Good. Feel what's happening up and around the neck and shoulders as you're pressing. Notice what's going on in the jaw and the throat. Keep pressing here. You've got this. And breathing. Good. Let's release that now for a moment. Just shake it out. Let the arms go. Whew. This is a fair bit of work for the shoulders, and we're getting into some muscles that we often actually don't use in our shoulders. So it could be a bit extra fatiguing. So be gentle with yourself here and just take it as it feels best for you. So what we just did, we're going to call that option 1. I'll give you option 2 now. Option 2 is to come back in to that same starting posture, Palms on either side of your prop or together, elbows lifted with the shoulders. The block is just slightly in front of your chest, okay? So we come into option one, we press. Press. Good. Now, option two is to start to slowly lift the block up while keeping the effort of pressing and the shoulders away from the ears. So it's very common that we lift from the shoulders here, but keep the shoulders down. Think about lifting more from your hands as you press into that block. And you're just going as high as is available to you. You don't need to go all the way up. And then as you come to your top, take a breath there, keep pressing, and then slowly start to lower the block back down. Nice and slow. So this is just option two. Maybe you're staying in option one, pressing. That is great work. Good. When the block comes back down, level with the chest, then release it. Whew. Give the shoulders a shake. Notice if you're short of breath. Sometimes when we have such effort going on, one of the ways we kind of psychologically try to help ourselves out is we hold our breath, but it's not actually very helpful. So we're working here to do two things at once, to actually use a lot of effort while maintaining a fluid breath. Okay, option three now. We come back into option one. Pressing into the prop or into your hands. Elbows lifted level with the shoulders. Standing or sitting tall. Press into that block. Option one, press. You have option two, if you'd like to repeat it, you can lift the block up. Option three is to start to slide the block forward. I'll tell you now, you're not going to go very far because this is a lot of flexibility in those wrists and shoulders. But just going to where you start to feel like an edgy point, then you're going to hold there and breathe. Hold there and breathe. Good. Holding and breathing. You got to keep those elbows up. Keep pressing into the block and slowly glide the block back to that starting position. Good job. Release the block. Whew. Put it off to the side. Nicely done. Shake the arms out. Good work. If you're standing, take the feet a little wider apart and let's do a bit of gentle twisting from side to side. If there are concerns in the knees, let your feet pivot as you twist. Otherwise, you can keep the feet planted and gently twisting from side to side. Good. Just kind of letting all of that tension and effort go. Whew, good work, everybody. Let's come back into center now. Return to your Tadasana. Sitting or standing tall, bringing a little bit more attention to your posture. Now, those of you who are standing, you can move your chair to the top of your mat. Turn the seat of the chair to face you. And return to your Tadasana. So we're all meeting here in Tadasana. Gazing again straight ahead, just like we did at the very beginning of practice. Looking straight ahead now, letting your eyes fall upon whatever is directly in front of you and becoming conscious of what your eyes are looking at. You might even give it a name. Like right now, I'm looking at a door frame. So I'll say to myself, door frame, and really take in that spot that I'm looking at. And then soften the eyes a little bit, draw them back into the head. As you inhale, sweep the arms forward and up as high as you comfortably can. Then exhale, gently fold down. Hands can come to the knees or to the chair, lengthening the spine out as you inhale. And then exhale, folding a little deeper, being mindful of blood pressure here. Keep your head above your heart if you need. Inhale, lift and stretch forward. Exhale, folding down a little bit deeper maybe. One more time, inhale, lengthen out. Keep that length as you fold down. Good. Then inhale, lift up halfway. If you're standing, you're going to take your right foot back, just far enough back that you feel a stretch in your right leg, while still able to keep your heel on the floor, and your left knee is bent. Holding onto the seat of the chair, looking forward. If you're sitting in the chair, come up to sit nice and tall. Keep your left foot on the floor and extend your right leg straight out in front. Heel on the ground, toes flexing back. If you're sitting, take your arms up overhead or as high as you comfortably can. If you're standing, you can keep your hands on the chair here or bring your hands up onto your front thigh or extend the arms right up overhead. Pressing down into your feet. So those who are sitting, the left foot is flat, the right heel is on the floor. You're pressing into your right heel. Good. Warrior one. This is Warrior one, Virabhadrasana one. Nice. Okay, you're welcome to stay where you are, or you could take your right hand across to the left thigh or just to the left side of your body. Left hand on your hip, slowly, gently twisting around to look towards your left. Maybe some of you might extend that left arm out behind you as an option. Those who are standing, be really attentive to that left knee. Watch it, it wants to fall in. Keep it over your ankle. On your next inhale, unwind your upper body. If you're standing, release your hands to the chair. And let's step up to the chair. If you're sitting, bring both feet back onto the floor, side by side. Hands on the knees. Inhale, send the chest forward, look forward. Exhale, fold down nice and deep. Inhale, lift up, extend. And now if you're standing, take your left foot back, right knee bent, both feet flat on the floor, gaze forward, holding on to the seat of the chair. If you're sitting, you can come to sit up nice and tall now. Right knee is bent, left leg forward, left toes flexing back, arms lifted, sitting tall, good, breathing here. Those who are standing, you might take your hands off the seat of the chair now, bringing them onto that front thigh, maybe. Be attentive to your balance here. Maybe the hands come to the hips, or you might take the arms all the way up overhead. Wherever you are in your posture, bring your attention to your breathing here and try to really fill out that breath, 360 degrees. Now your left hand might come across to the right side of the body onto the right thigh, right hand on your hip to start as we begin to twist to look towards the right. You might also keep your left hand on the chair. That's always a good option if you're standing. Some of you might take your right arm and extend it out behind you. Breathing here. Again, notice if you're standing, that right knee, if it's falling in, keep it over the ankle. Let's inhale, unwind, hands to the seat of the chair. If you're sitting, step your feet together. If you're standing, send that right foot back to meet the left foot. And let's come into downward facing dog. So those who are standing, you're making a nice L shape with your body, holding onto the seat of the chair. Those who are sitting, feet flat on the floor, interlace your fingers together, press your palms forward and take the arms up. Breathing, deep breaths. Okay, now one more in this. So those who are standing, you're going to take your right foot forward. Right foot forward, both legs are straight. Your gaze and look forward. If you're sitting, you can release your arms down and take your right leg out in front. Heel on the floor, toes flexed back, hands on the hips. Good. And then those who are sitting, start to fold forward over your right leg. Those who are standing, you're holding onto the seat of the chair, sending your right hip back a little bit more, and then maybe starting to bend your elbows, letting your upper body fold down a little bit deeper over that right leg. Good. Those who are standing, come up a little bit higher. Those who are sitting, come all the way up to seated. But keep your legs as they are. Those who are standing, keep your left hand on the seat of the chair. Take your right hand on your right hip. Use the hand on the hip to guide the hip back, and then roll that right shoulder up and gently twist, looking towards the right. Those who are sitting, you have your right leg straight. Your left elbow now could come onto your left thigh. Right hand on the hip, roll that right shoulder back and twist, looking towards the right here. Now, for some of you, the option might be to take that right arm up towards the sky. For others, you might keep the right hand on the hip. That is fine. Stay where you are and breathe. Long, smooth breaths, big, full breaths here. Good. Let's release the right hand down, slowly unwinding and stepping back into your downward facing dog. So coming into your variation of downward dog. It might feel a little wonky here as we've done some work for the right side or for one side that we haven't done for the other yet. So that's okay. Feel the little differences. Good. Then let's change sides, taking that left foot forward. So if you're sitting or standing, it is now your left leg in front, stretched nice and long. If you're sitting, your hands can come onto your hips, sitting tall, and then folding over that straight left leg. If you're standing, you're holding onto the seat of the chair, stretching your chest forward, left hip back, and then maybe bending your elbows, maybe lowering down a little bit more over that left leg. But be mindful of the stretch here. Only go to where you can sustain your breath. Sustain that full breath. Good. Those who are standing, come up a little bit higher now. Keep a hold of the chair with your right hand. Bring your left hand on your left hip. Guide your left hip back as you roll that left shoulder up and twist towards your left. Those who are sitting in the chair, your left leg is straight. You're sitting up nice and tall now, and then you're going to fold back down, right elbow on the right thigh, left hand on the left hip, and gently twisting to look towards your left. Now, some of you here might extend that left arm up overhead, or you might keep your hand on your hip. Either is fine. Watch the tendency here, though, when we lift the arm up, that we kind of pull it back. So we don't want this sort of back reaching. Instead, think of the hand sort of dropping down to your side and then sweeping out to the left and straight up from there. Yes, very nice. There we go. Find that full breath. Good. Release the left arm down, grabbing a hold of the seat of the chair if you're standing, and then let's come back into downward facing dog. So taking your variation, standing or sitting, of downward facing dog. If you're comfortable coming to your knees, you can use the chair here to help you down onto your knees, taking your knees wide apart, bringing your big toes to touch, sinking your hips back, and then letting the hands and forehead come down into child's pose. If you're not comfortable coming to your knees, then you might come to sit in your chair with your legs wide apart and fold down between the legs. If you are comfortable coming to the floor, but just not okay to come onto your knees, then bring yourself down in whatever way works for you and come to lay on your back, taking your knees wide, holding onto your shins with your hands, coming into your variation here of child's pose. Once in your option for the posture, take some deeper breaths. Really expand the body. And let's do a few rounds now of Brahmari breath. On an inhale, placing your tongue softly at the roof of your mouth, and as you exhale, beginning to gently hum like a little buzzing bumblebee. Let's continue that breath. Let's take 5 more breaths like this. Three more. The last one. Excuse me. Then release your tongue from the roof of your mouth. If you're sitting in your chair, slowly roll up to sit up nice and tall. If you're on your knees on the floor, take your time to come up, sitting on your mat and then laying down on your back. And if you're already on your back, release your feet down onto the floor with your knees bent. Wherever you are, bring your hands now onto your belly and just softly feel the belly's motion with your breath. Okay, from here, we're going to take the right leg in towards the belly. Now, if lifting the leg off the floor, if you're sitting, is uncomfortable for you, you could keep both feet on the ground and simply fold down over both your legs. Otherwise, you're going to lift that right leg up into the belly, hold behind your right thigh or over your shin, and then gently straighten that left leg out. And you might, if you're on the floor, you might straighten it along the floor. If you're sitting in the chair, you might simply glide the foot forward on the ground. Good, giving the leg a good squeeze in. This is so good to do for the low back, for the belly, for the digestion, for the hip. Good. Then those of you who are lying on the floor, take your left hand to your right thigh, release your right arm out to the side, and gently guide your right leg across your body into your twist. If you're sitting in the chair, release your foot back down onto the ground, keeping both feet flat on the floor. Take your left hand to your right thigh, your right hand behind you, and come into a seated twist here. And on your next inhale, gently unwind your body, releasing that right foot on the floor if it's lifted, bending that left knee if it's straight. And let's switch sides. So bring the left leg in, holding behind the left thigh or over the shin. And again, if you're sitting in the chair and lifting a leg up is painful in any way, simply keep your feet on the floor and fold back down over both legs. If you have a hold of that left leg, you can then maybe stretch out the right leg, see how that feels for you, and give that left leg a good squeeze in. Full body breath, big full breaths. Good. Those of you on the floor, gently let that left leg glide away from the belly for just a little bit, just a kind of half-inch lift away. Right hand comes onto the left thigh, left arm extends out to your side, and then you guide the leg across your body here into your twist. If you're sitting in the chair, both feet flat on the floor, knees bent, right hand to the left thigh, left hand to the back of the chair as you twist. Wherever you are now, let it be enough. This is plenty. Be here now. Breathe here. Feel. Experience. Good. On your inhale, unwind yourself, coming back to center. Placing that left foot on the floor. If it was lifted, then bending the right knee again, placing the right foot on the floor. Sitting tall. If you're in the chair, let's all bring hands back onto the belly. Now, if you're lying on the floor, you're welcome to walk the feet wide, let the knees fall in, and take some pressure off the low back. Or if it feels okay for you, you might extend your legs out over a bolster or simply along the ground, letting the feet flop open. If you're sitting in your chair, go ahead now and slide right to the back of your chair, maybe putting a block or two or a pillow under your feet or a pillow behind your back or in your lap. Taking the props you need to really support your body. Those of you on the floor, you can release your arms now onto the ground, turning the palms up. If you're sitting in the chair, letting your hands rest in your lap, maybe on a pillow, turning the palms up if it's comfortable for you. And now let's close the eyes. Once again, drawing the eyes back into the socket. Now, if you find closing the eyes either increases a feeling of discomfort for you, or you right away start to drift towards thinking or sleep, then sometimes keeping the eyes softly open is helpful. Otherwise, letting the eyes close. And then wherever you are, really start to feel those eyes sinking back into their socket. As though the temples of your forehead could widen a little bit out to the side, making lots of room for those eyes. Releasing now any effort or control that you may have been exerting on your breath. And feeling once again that natural breath settle back in. Noticing where you're feeling your breath, how you're feeling this breath. Letting the arms go heavy and the whole body settle. Coming into a quiet and still space for yourself. A moment of peace and calm for yourself. To root and ground into a place within yourself that is steady, trusting, and able. Let's spend a little time here, and then I'll bring us back when we're ready to close the practice. breath to deepen. Feel the energy starting to flow back in. But notice how, with a little bit of practice, a little bit of motion and consciousness, the energy comes back in a bit more of a neutral way. But sometimes as we start our days, our energy is a little bit frantic, or sometimes a little bit lethargic, heavy. Notice how the energy of a yoga, at the end of a yoga practice, can have a quality of neutrality or balance to it. Now, sometimes the mind gets in there really quickly and starts to agitate, or it starts to heavy that energy up. But just notice right now this easy energy in the body, easy energy, not needing to go anywhere, do anything. Before you even move the body here, take an opportunity now to set an intention for yourself of how you want to move now back into your day. What quality of yourself would you like to bring in to each action, each word and deed that you experience today? And then bring that quality now to your motion as you start to reawaken the body. Start to embody that quality of self as you start to return to your seat. Take your time. If you're in the chair, remove any props you may have been using. If you're on the floor, you're going to roll to one side and ease yourself up. You might come to sit cross-legged on the floor or have your legs straight out. You might come to sit back into your chair. If you're in the chair, come to sit again forward on your chair and plant your feet firmly on the earth. Once you've come to your seat, fold your hands together, gently pressing the palms together. So there's a little bit of energy there between the hands. Sitting up nice and tall, lifting up through the heart, greeting the day heart first. And then exhaling and bowing the head in, humbling the brain, the mind that likes to try to run the show, but humble it a little bit towards that deep wisdom of the heart. Knowing that you have a choice in the thoughts that you entertain, in the actions that you take, in the words that you use. And allow that choice to come from the heart. Thank you all so much for continuing to choose to practice yoga together. Namaste.